Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. I'm gonna wait a few seconds for people to kind of show up. Try and get more conservative here. Well, it's Tuesday morning. I have double the work. It's insanity over here because yesterday we participated in a protest here in Mexico against femicide across. So International Women's Day was on Sunday, and there were protests all over the world. I didn't read anything from Toronto or Canada, and I'm always like really sad when Canada doesn't do anything because we have a worse wage gap in Canada than they do in the United States. And it's always really bad when you hear that something is worse in a country than the US, because the US is not a measurement for basically anything good in the world. It's just not. They don't have adequate health care. They don't have adequate education. It's a very aggressive, lots of gun problems, lots of violence issues. And when I think of the US and I think of Canada, I definitely don't think of Canada as having more inequality in terms of how they pay women. I was glad though to see how much was going on for International Women's Day. I mean, I feel like I grew up with this day being like Mother's Day. It's like a day that, people get flowers or say Happy International Women's Day or like acknowledge women for the things they've done. And it's been really nice that in recent years it has become more about, and I mean, in a way, we kind of have Trump to thank because he is a rapist and was a known rapist, and women, harasser, an open harasser, a sexual harasser of women, and a rapist. And it was out in the open, and he was still able to win an election with that against him in what is called a developed or modern or free world country. Brought this huge spotlight to the fact that women are not equal anywhere in the world. There's only 2 countries in the world that have almost closed the wage gap. Nobody's actually done it, but the 2 that have almost closed it are Iceland and Rwanda. And Rwanda has managed to close their wage gap, because all the men are dead from war. So women had to take on roles that were, so it's not like they set out to do it. It happened by an unfortunate circumstance. In Iceland, they've gotten very, very close. But no one's actually done it. And I read a great article a little while ago that Iceland actually managed to close its wage gap by forcing paternity leave on men. Not forcing it, but like kind of not making it mandatory either, but kind of like rewarding men who take time off to raise their kids, because the wage gap in a lot of developed countries, I don't even know if that's the right term, comes from, women leaving to have kids and then not being able to re-enter. And also men get raises once they start families and women don't. Women get, it's considered a detriment. In fact, even a lawyer that I've always really loved and respected in Canada, who's a friend of the family and a great guy, used to call it women going on vacation when they went on mat leave. And even before I had children, I thought that was grossly inappropriate. But yeah, so, the wage gap's a big deal. It's a big deal that more women have been graduating from university in Canada than men. It's 60% women in university and post-secondary education in Canada, and has been that way for decades. And yet, it's not, we're just not taking over the force. Oh, here's some people. Hi, J America Rays. Oh, look at this. I can even change like how you view me. Look at that. That's nicer. Yeah, I don't know why, but the top chat comments haven't been coming out. Oh, here they are. Hey, Eddie. Anywho, it was really nice to see that more and more women are protesting on this day around the world. It was sad to see that Canada, who that is, I mean, just so, it's just the apathy in Canada is so real, and it's so unfortunate that nobody gives a shit. And there's this great device that they've really taught us in Canada, and I don't know if it's present in other countries in the world, where if you bring up any of the injustices or any of the inequalities in Canada to Canadians, they will immediately respond by telling you how another country is worse. So the way, no, it wasn't International Women's Day yesterday, but there was a giant protest here in Mexico, which I hope will inspire women to protest around the world. There were also protests here on the 8th, but yesterday we participated in a nationwide protest in Mexico against femicide, where women were asked not to participate at all. So not drop your kids off, not buy anything, not leave the house, social media, don't go to work, don't use transportation, do not participate, so that you could see what a world without women was like. I actually watched some news stories on the internet on YouTube yesterday about it, and I mean, it was like these two male reporters for a big news station here out. They couldn't get a woman, most likely because they participated, out in the streets saying that, like, yeah, in Mexico City, yes, there's a lot less people. There's about 3 to 1 men to women out, or I think he said no, 3 women for every 10 men. And then the guy's interviewing women he could find on the street and saying, like, well, why are you going to work? And the women are saying, I have no choice. And he's like, well, obviously, like, you are filled with valor and responsibility because you have responsibilities you can't put aside, like these other women. And it was just so incredibly sexist and machistic and horrible reporting, and exactly the reason why we need to do more of this type of stuff. I mean, he downplayed it. And then the other guy, he was like, how about down in Coyoacan, And it's clear that they tried to find the areas of town that had the most women in them, so that they could then say, well, clearly these women have responsibilities. And he was talking about, like, some women are single parents, like we're 6 or 7 of us in Mexico. I'm a single parent. I have 2 jobs. I have responsibilities that aren't even in this country. My work is in another country, and I still participated. I'm lucky I'm my own boss, and I have more freedom. But I looked at it as such a great opportunity for me to speak to Canadians who also follow me and my clients about how femicide affects. There's 100 million women unaccounted for in the world. It affects every single country in the world. There is no country that does not have issues of femicide. And, femicide is the act of killing a woman for being a woman. And the fact that we even have a name for it is gruesome and disgusting. And, we're going around talking about coronavirus, like it's this big epidemic, but the murder, torture, rape, and just erasing of women is like coronavirus times 10. I mean, even more. It's huge. I mean, 10 women die a day in this country due to femicide. So those are women who fight back when they're being attacked or raped. Those are babies that are sex selected, so they're aborted for being female, or children who are killed at birth for being female. It's little girls that are sold into the sex trade, which, by the way, is huge in Canada. It's bigger than you think. 10,000 children disappear in Canada a year. And although the number is higher in the U.S., the majority of the children who are kidnapped in the U.S. are returned to their parents, because most of it is a matter of mistaken, like one parent picked them up and the other one didn't know, or there's like fighting within the parents, or they ran away and came back. Canada actually has our incidents are, that number is kids that don't come back. Out of 35 million people, I mean, 10,000 is a lot. 10,000 in the state of California would be a lot, and that's the same amount. 2 women die of femicide a day in Guatemala. That's what they peg, and it's, one of the worst on the UN spectrum. I mean, 17 million people here. It's 10 a day at 140 million people. So, like when you look at the per capita, but that's pretty bad. And And then there's also, so 100 million are unaccounted for. There's so many more. 40 million women and children go missing due to human trafficking in India a year. And this is the thing with Canada, is like as soon as you say 10,000 kids go missing, they'll go, well, that's 40 million in India. Like that somehow absolves the problem at home. I mean, it's not my home anymore. What I love about living in Mexico is that this is a problem all over the world. It's a really big problem. Nobody talks about it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that women are dying all over the world. And that's what it comes down to. The news doesn't care. Men obviously don't care. Women who talk about it are treated like we're being selfish or childish, or like, oh, you're still talking about that? That's still a problem for you? Oh, or oh, that sucks, And then we'll talk about like men getting raped in jail, like it's this horrible thing, but it's like that's what it's like to be a woman every day. Like that same fear that men feel entering jail as the fear that we live with every day. That's normalized. And it's crazy. And obviously, because I have a daughter, it's brought this back. I mean, it's not like it left my attention ever. It's brought it back in a very different way. I definitely, although I'm a small, attractive woman, I'm not the type of woman that is, generally speaking, targeted for this type of violence. Everything about me just like gives off the vibe that I am going to be loud, that I'm going to fight back, that I will report to the police, that I'll be like a dog with a bone, and I will never let this shit go. Like everything about me says try somebody else, but that doesn't mean that I can't be a victim of date rape, which is the majority of rape, or being overpowered by a man, or domestic violence. And the really sad and sick thing is I've never met a woman that hasn't had some sort of sexual harassment or either physical, verbal, whatever run-in. Is this about the creep? No, that creepy guy was dumb. Like, I can't believe, like, of all the women, like, he would have used me. Yeah, and the thing that I think the hard thing is that we're trying to teach women, all over the world. I mean, I definitely know from my mother, really taught me that I am entitled to everything men have. That I can get an education, that I can get a great job, that I can make money, that I can be the head of a household, that I can travel the world, that I don't have to apologize for who I am, I don't have to take table scraps, and I don't have to be a good little girl. So I was taught all that, and then the reality is, when I got out there into the world, I've been constantly looked over for men who had less qualifications, education, worse track records, guys who were just like hot messes in comparison, personally, corporately, and you have to deal with that. You're not equal when it comes down. And also, when I've spoken up about it, I mean, the pushback has been really intense. In corporate Canada, when I lived there, I was always told, that people didn't like me. Like that has any bearing on whether you need to get a raise for a job you've done really well. And I would come to meetings like really prepared. Like these are, the things I did, for you in the last quarter. I've outperformed my male counterparts by this much. I'd like to be paid at least the same. I deserve more. I want to negotiate, and they're saying things like, we're getting reports that you're hard to work with. And I'm like, from who? These same losers that aren't doing their jobs? Like, of course, I'm not making them look great by doing a better job. Yeah, so I had to watch a lot of that, and it really bothered me because I was raised to think I could have everything. Like that was the way that my mother's generation did it. And I'm actually now in a group online called Single Moms by Choice, and it's women who chose to have children alone, either by artificial insemination or adoption or, the old-fashioned way, but there is no second parent involved. And, I just the stories are always the same. Like, well, I put all my time into my career. I became wildly successful, and then I wanted to have a kid. And because I can afford to do it whatever way I want, I'm going to just do it. Or a lot of times I meet women that were like me, that were just like waiting around for a partner, and it never materialized. And then they had babies through IVF older. And it's funny because now this is like where I'm at, and what I'm thinking about is like, I totally was taught my whole life that if I worked hard and I lived with integrity and I was myself and I was unapologetic, that I would get things in life. But the reality is, nobody likes a smart, good looking woman, period. Nobody likes a smart woman. Not one that thinks she's equal and isn't apologizing for herself and isn't like happy with the leftovers or happy with what she's dealt, or even has any kind of idea of what she wants and is going for it without apology. Like, that is just not rewarded in any way in any culture I've seen in the world. Number one. And number two, they don't tell you that it's very difficult to date. I know lots and lots of really wonderful, powerful men who I call friends, whose partners are not as powerful as them by long shots. And you see it over and over and over and over and over. And there's just not enough examples of really strong women with really strong male counterpart couples. I do have a lot of female friends that are wildly financially successful, whose husbands and life partners are not. And their roles are more flipped. Like, they're the breadwinners and the dad is also working, but more working from home and more creating his own income and extra income, but not an equal. Which is fine. I'm not saying anything against that, but I'm just saying there's a lot, like, we're taught one thing and then there's a reality in the world. And now that I am the mother of a daughter, I'm thinking a lot about this type of stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, do I do what my mom did and what her generation did, which is prepare her for a future that might come, a reality that is not here today, but one that I want for her? Or do I prepare her for the world that exists? And I think I mentioned this once before. I read a really fantastic article by a woman of color in the US, an African American woman who was raising her son on her own. And she was saying, I don't tell him that he can be anything he wants to be. I'm preparing him for the world he lives in, that what it's like to be a young black man in this country, in this world, in this present state. And he needs to know that when he gets pulled over in a car, it could be his last minutes on earth. Like those kind of things. And it was like such a powerful article. And it really, it changed my mind a lot about this accepted way of raising girls to believe that they can have what men have. And I thought it was really important that we participate in the protests yesterday, even though Luna doesn't really understand what's going on, just for her to be around other women and for her to start to understand that women are being killed in their homes in her country, that violence against women is normalized here where we live on the coast of Oaxaca, and that it's not okay. And also, I really believe that Luna is going to be, she's already really independent, but she's like going to be a strong, independent woman who's probably not going to take that kind of shit lightly. She's not going to be easy to push around. And therefore, she will have the responsibility of helping other women who maybe don't have the same voice and the same opportunities. So I have a lot of feelings about it. This time of year, it's funny because International Women's Day kind of went by for me for years and years, and I just thought like, okay, well, I'm just talking about these women like Anita Hill, women from when I was young, but like, I don't see these women anymore. It's like we're not fighting anymore or something, And I don't think it's gotten any easier I feel like it's just gone more underground, like yeah, you're not seeing it in your face as much anymore in countries like Canada, but it's still there. And I don't know, like wage inequality somehow went some gender equality somehow went from like closing the wage gap to free the nipple, and it's like I don't know what happened there. Not to say that I don't think women should be able to show their nipples on the internet, but I'm much more concerned with not getting paid for equal work than having my tits out. And maybe there are women that don't mind getting paid less as long as they don't have to wear a shirt. That's the beautiful thing, is that we're all entitled to our own version of how this thing goes. But yeah, for me, I definitely, yeah, I feel like I'm more down the middle. I think you can do it any way you want. Like, I'm not into shaming other women, like, oh, you need to do your feminism the way I do my feminism. I don't think it has to be that way, but there does have to be, I do feel like you have to have a stance. Like, complacency or apathy is like, you don't get any points for that shit with me. Like, their army is strong and ours needs to be stronger. And by ours, I don't mean women, I mean anybody who believes in equality. Ours needs to be stronger. And in order to have a strong army, we all have to be involved. So if you have a vagina or love people with vaginas, then it's your responsibility to help change the world. So yeah, there's not that many people here today. Something's up. Anyway, that's why I wasn't online yesterday. And it was good to participate. It didn't feel so big where we were, because where we are, it's not the same as being in like Oaxaca City, and thank you for saying you support the protest, or in Mexico City. For me, I'm just so, like, right now, Mexican women are doing something about what's going on, and I want to help. If Canadian women were actually like getting organized and doing something about inequality, I would want to help them too, because although this is my country, Mexico, I'm still from there, and of course I have an affinity for Canada. But the Canada that I sort of remember and recognize is dead. It's been dead for a long time. Like, the place that's there now is like this other place, like any modern country. The dream is over. But it remains to be seen. I really love Canadian people. I really believe in the people, and I think that there is a tipping point where people in Canada are going to be like, that's enough. I can't handle it anymore. We want change. So we'll see what comes out of it. But right now, Mexican women are doing something. So I want to help as much as I can. Now that I got a residency card, it means I can do a little more. Once I get that passport, I can really get out there. So yeah, that's why we weren't around that's why I wasn't around yesterday. The other thing, the interesting, cool thing that happened, I put out about doing a potential retreat for single moms next year here in Puerto Escondido. I've actually tried to get this retreat off the ground twice already. Once in Guatemala, and the timing wasn't very good. Like, I wanted to do it within, I think, 6 months from when I announced it, and a lot of people told me that they already had their plans. Plus, Guatemala has a lot more stigmatism than Mexico, because less people do go there to travel. So there's less information, and it doesn't have direct flights. So it didn't really get off the ground. Then last year, I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't limit it to single moms and instead open it up to women, married or single or whatever your situation is, to come down with their children, but without dads, without husbands, and the idea was that, I felt that traveling with Luna when she was a baby, totally empowered me as a woman. It really gave me my balls back and really reminded me of who I was, and helped me to really feel empowered by being a parent and really excited to parent for the first time. And I really want to give that experience, that empowerment experience, to other women. And it doesn't work the same if men are there. It doesn't work the same if your partner is there. You really need to be doing it on your own. So that was the premise. And I just put it out to a lot of people, parents, period. And there was just so much complaining that people couldn't come with their husbands. It was clear that people wanted more all-inclusives. And I just, it just didn't feel like what I was trying to do. Like, I just felt, and I thought, well, maybe people don't want what I'm trying to do here. So I shelved it. And then, now we've been living in Puerto since June, and it's so turnkey here. Like, I have the Montessori daycare, I have the kids' camp, there's surfing here. I know the Mezcal people. I'm a yoga teacher. I know other yoga teachers. There's a gym around the corner. I know some really beautiful homes that we could rent out. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do something little and I'll do it next year for March break. And I'm just going to test the waters. And like, maybe I could get 10 women on board. I mean, how hard could it be for 10? Anyway, I put it out, and let's just say 200 women have already sent me their email addresses, and people are following up with me. It's taken me 5 days to just get all the emails into my assistant to create an Excel document of like when's good in March, what age kids are. I mean, I could do this thing next month. I have all the contacts. It's not going to be super expensive, but I was blown away. So it looks like we're going to be doing a Travel Mama retreat next March, and it's going to be in the last 2 weeks, I think. And judging by the response I got, it looks like we're going to do 2 weeks. And it'll be about 10 moms and their kids, depending on how many kids. I mean, there's been moms that wrote into me that have like 4 kids each. But this is, I'm part of this group, Single Moms by Choice. I wasn't really a single mom by choice, but it's a bit of a gray area because, I wasn't in a relationship with Luna's biological father previous to getting pregnant. And I think if I wasn't such a severe codependent and love addict going into that, like if that happened to me right now, I would just say, I'm gonna have this kid by myself. If you want in, it's up for debate. It's up for negotiation. You're welcome to come in, but like, I'm going to need to see more than talk, and I think that we should, sit down with an agreement and whatever. And it would be like a co-parenting agreement from day one, if that. I'd probably just make the decision on my own, and if that person wanted to join, great. But at the time, I felt like, I just felt so much more vulnerable, and it was easily swayed. But because I did have her on my own, I have always felt that although it wasn't my choice initially, it became my choice. And I really feel like I am part of this group of women, this group of women that sees this very empowered group that doesn't see parenting as something that I have to have a man for. And I mean, a lot of that's been from becoming a single mom, and talking to a lot of moms around the world and realizing that, the grand majority of children are raised by women, regardless of whether they're married or not, or how they became mothers. I mean, the truth is, like, very few men are contributing to raising their children in a real way, like in the way that women are. And did you attend college, Cynthia? Yes, I went to university. I went to several universities, but what I learned from university was mainly through travel, because I got a scholarship in my first year. I mean, I was totally like straight A student, all that stuff, but I don't feel that school taught me very much. Life experience taught me the most. I have never used my degree in anything I've done in the world. But I've traveled a lot with school, and that taught me a lot, and it opened a lot of doors for me with people and travel. And I'm a very trial and error person. Like, I need to throw stuff against a wall and see what sticks. Like, I can't visualize the future without some sort of user experience. So university, I don't think it's necessary for every person, and I think that education is a broad term. I am definitely somebody who is into growth. I have to be growing at all times or I just die. And I mean, I die overnight. Like, I'm always taking courses. I'm always learning new things. I'm always learning new skills. Like, right now, I've been watching like 10,000 YouTube videos on painting tile. And I did the first run at the bathroom this weekend or yesterday during the protest, I was like, what do I really want to do for myself since I won't be online? And I was like, I want to finally paint that bathroom. It doesn't look the way I want it to, and I'm very upset. But, I'm back online today, learning how I can do maybe another coat and change the fixtures and elevate it. But yeah, I do believe 110% in education. I just don't necessarily believe in the university system as it stands. It depends on what you want to do, too. If you want to be an engineer, it's a great spot. If you want to be a doctor, like a medical Western doctor, I'm not against school. I just think that, I got a double honors in English and literature. Like, what does that mean? That I sat in a desk for 4 years and completed tasks well? I did graduate with distinction. Yeah. So anyway, I put it up there. So many women have gotten a hold of me. It looks like this thing is a go. I'm really looking forward to, oh, Pearlie, you're saying I don't feel school taught me much. No, it did not teach me too much either. Like I said, it depends. Every person is different. I don't think it should be mandatory. I think about this a lot with Luna, and I just tell myself if she wants to go to university, hopefully I will be able to financially help her with that. And if she doesn't want to go, I'm okay with that too. I think for me, what I would like to see from my daughter is that she is in charge of her future. And if that means that for me, I look at her as under my guidance until 21. She gets to, of course, she gets to do whatever she wants to do in the future. But she school was too academic for his visual learner. Yeah, it needs to be certain. I mean, I excelled in school. I was like top of my class every single year since I was 6. Like I'm like a nerdy student type, but I'm not like, Luna is somebody who is totally learns through creativity. She's not very good at, she can do it, but she's not good at it. She's also like a huge people pleaser. I can see her being very good in group work, and that may not be university for her. Like Luna might want to go away and volunteer for a year, or we don't have this in Mexico, or in Canada, but like a Peace Corps type of thing. I would be open to whatever. I want to hear a pitch. I want to hear why. I want good reasons. I want a well-researched and developed plan before I'm going to give her money for it. I wouldn't just send her to school because she's not sure what she wants to do next, and that's what everybody does. Like, I need to see a plan. So I'm happy to guide, help, mentor, and co-create that plan with her if she wants that, or, she can bounce ideas off me. But what I will probably be encouraging Luna to do is to show and tell me why she wants to do something and how I can support her in doing it. But she's definitely not going to like F off, popping Xanax somewhere and spending all her time playing video games and, making TikTok videos. Like, that shit is not going to happen. That's a no. Absolutely not. Not to say she can't enjoy those things, but that's not how she's going to be spending 4 more years in university just doing victory laps of high school with more booze and drugs involved. No. That's not how we roll around here. And that's not how I did university. She's not kind of family, so I'm not too worried about it. But I was really glad to see that. So it looks like we are going to do some Travel Mama retreats. I'm really looking for them to be affordable. I'm not planning on making there's no way to make a ton of money here anyway in Puerto. But I'm looking to do small groups. I'm hoping that it sells out and I can do one every week for the whole month of March, because that would be fantastic. Imagine how many moms I would meet, and it would be so great for my daughter to meet other moms, other single moms by choice. That's something that's really, and it has nothing to do with Mexico. There's tons of single moms in Mexico, but we just live in a little town where there's not enough access to diversity. Like, she's not meeting the same level of like I grew up with lots of gay parents around me, single parents, kids who were adopted, kids who had multiracial parents, kids who were being raised by grandparents, uncles, I really grew up around a lot of diverse family systems in Canada because I was from a big city. But Luna's really growing up with one paradigm. And although we have tons of single mom friends, I mean, who doesn't know single moms in this day and age? I mean, it's not 1952 anymore. There's a lot of us. But it would be really nice for her to see more diversity within that. She's just recently, actually, she goes to Kids Club, as everyone knows, and there's a little girl there whose parents are foreign. I don't know if they're from the States or Canada or where, but they're foreigners, and the dad's much more involved. He's more like a mom, which he doesn't see much of here. Like, there's more traditional rules laid out for the parent couples, like the co-parent she knows. So I think this dad has really caught her eye, and she's constantly telling me about how this little kid has a dad and then saying, and I don't have one. And I think her whole thing is that because that dad is like her mom, I think she assumes the mom is like me and she gets a dad like me, like she gets two. So I was telling her, oh yeah, you just haven't met your dad yet. Like, I don't know, like you might have a dad, you just don't have one now. And I was like, but you have me and you have grandma, because my mom is down here a lot. And so a lot of times she goes out and she says, this is my grandma. And like other people are not out with their grandparent. I mean, even though people have lots of grandparents around here, but, her grandma comes on the airplane and stays with her and does things with her and takes her on trips and stuff. And she sees less kids just in her little world who have that. So I always say, well, yeah, you have me and you have grandma. And this little girl has a mommy and a daddy. And then I use other examples of people that don't have dads. And it's cute. She always comes up with that they have a second person somehow, but they're a second person. It can be like a dog. It can be like the woman that's living with us right now has a dog. And I said, she doesn't have a dad. And she said, yeah, she has Frida, and that's her dog. And I said, yeah, exactly. Like they're a little duo. So it's cute. It's like, she's starting to learn about diversity in families poco a poco, but it would be really nice to show her a bunch of single moms by choice, women that were like, oh no. The weird thing about this group, or not weird thing, but like the interesting thing about this group is that when I was getting everybody's kids' ages by next March to figure out if they're going to do like a day camp or if they're going to do the Montessori, because it's different ages, so many women wrote to me that they had twins because so many women had kids with IVF and there's such a high instance of twins. So it's really interesting that there's like this whole group of women that might come on this, and there might be like a bunch of twins. And that was really cool. I was like, wow, that's going to be so intense. Like just to be around moms, like single moms by choice with twins. Like I can't even think of, like that has got to be the modern Amazonia, like that has got to be the equivalent of cutting off your breast in order to be a better archer, like I can't think of something more badass than that. Like that's the most badass I can think of. Like if that woman also is like a CEO and cleans her own house and does all the mommy shit, then like that's like superhuman. That's literally superwoman level. Like who's like that, So anyway, that's big news. And if you want to know more about the Travel Mama Retreat, it's not for single moms by choice exclusively. In fact, you can be married and come down. You just can't bring your husband. It's not for couples to do together, but you don't have to be a single mom to come on it. You just need to be a mom who wants to travel with her kids on your own and meet other women. Think of it like a woman's retreat. Like, would you invite a man? No. So it's like a woman's retreat with kids. And all moms are welcome. And if you're an aunt and you got a cousin, a nephew or niece that wants to come with you, you can come. It's just about really women and kids and parenting, like that intersection of being a mama bear. And the last thing, I'm looking around here, we got a puppy, Coco Chanclas. So for those of you who don't speak Spanish or don't know the Mexican Spanish word, chanclas is like the word for sandals, but it's more like flip-flops or thongs, they say in England and Australia. It's like a slang term for a beach sandal. It's usually a flip-flop type of sandal, chanclas. So it's a very beach town name. Someone the other day said, asked me her name, and I said chanclas, and she said, bueno nombre costeño, like a good name from the coast, right? Like that's a very appropriate beach name. So she's a little beach puppy. I think she's a Chihuahua and a pug. I had a Chihuahua Jack Russell named Slayer that was the love of my life, who passed away in Nicaragua in 2000, March 28th, 2015. I have our little tattoo here. She was a pug and a Jack Russell, and the resemblance is striking. Coco Chanclas looks exactly like Slayer. I mean, right down to Slayer had a little mole here, and she has the little mole too. We were not looking for a puppy because we got Spooky for Luna's birthday, who is just 2 months old. So Spooky's still a baby right now. Spooky craps in the garden, and Spooky has a boyfriend, Chuck Norris, who also craps in the garden. So I basically spend my morning chasing cats around trying to get them not to shit in the garden. So Spooky and Chuck Norris have stopped doing that, but now they crap by the pool. So the pool, over by the pool, smells like cat shit now. So I'm always like, watering it and trying to get the cat shit smell out. So I didn't want to get a puppy because now I have a puppy that shits in the garden, and Luna's been pissing in the garden lately because she learned it from Chunklas and Spooky, and she likes, like, I taught her how to go pee like on the side of the road, like in a bush, and now she just, like, of course she just wants to whip her clothes off and go pee in the grass. So my grass is all burnt up, and this is like actually my thing. Like, I feel like, what have I done to myself? Now I'm going to be chasing around animals that just piss everywhere. So it's like I have a house of babies right now. We were not looking for a puppy at the moment. I was like going to wait another year. But, then Spooky would be a full-grown cat. But then, when I saw her, and she looked so much like Slayer, and then Luna met her, and they have a really sweet connection. And Chunkles has also already had surgery on her liver. She had hepatitis. She was taken from her mom at 2 weeks. She was found in the street at 2 weeks old. She's already come back from a lot, and I like a little fighter story, so she's a little fighter. And the agency that works to, Chris, I think it's just Christy on her own, the woman that helped me, that works to get animals off the street here, get them cleaned up and rehoused through adoption, is going to take care of the cost of having her fixed and her first round of vaccines. So I only have to do her next round in 2 weeks, and she doesn't have any for a year, and then she gets fixed in a few months. So that's that. When I heard that, I said, okay. I'm already fighting the urge to buy her stuff. I mean, they have a really cute little collar with like Day of the Dead skulls on it online. I'm dying to get her. But it's a lot. It's honestly, like, Luna and the cat didn't feel like a lot. Luna and the cat and the puppy, it's like, I'm not sleeping at night because somebody's always keeping me awake. Yeah, hold on, I'm gonna see if I can get her because she's really cute. Chanclas, ¿dónde está Chanclas? ¿Ella está allá, adentro? ¿Dónde? Coco, Chanclas. ¿Sí? Chanclas. Oh, aquí. She's with me. Chancletas. Come here, little chicken bro. Okay. This is little Chanclas. Wanna say hi? Say hi. You can't say anything. So because she's got on medication for, you can see here, her surgery, she stinks. And I mean, she smells like the dirtiest dog. And I actually make soap. So I started making soap. Oh, look, everybody's writing now. I pulled a puppy out. Ha ha ha. I started making soap for Slayer because you can't use normal soap on their skin because it's really thin and it dries out really easy. So I started making soap for Slayer. Plus, I wanted something that she could ingest. And before I had a kid, I mean, God, I had so much time on my hands. I used to make all my cleaning supplies for the house so that Slayer wouldn't lick it off her paws, all this stuff. Chanclas has survived a lot, so I'm not worried about her. But I make soap now for myself and for Luna, and Luna's always used food-grade, vegan, natural products, either that I make or get from Lush for her, so that she can eat it and be fine. She's never had normal soap touch her skin. So it's I'm already making it for me and for my daughter, so I just wash Chanclas. but I hate the smell of dog. Yeah, she still stinks like dog. But it's not that bad. It's going away. I think another like 5 or 6 showers. She also hates the water. So I'm hoping she gets more used to it and then just like comes in the shower with us or with Luna. Luna gets a shower once a day before bed. So she could just go in the shower with Luna and then get cleaned off every day. That would be my favorite. But we'll see. She's very tired right now, as you can see. She's just a little tiny peanut. I've never had a Chihuahua before. I think she's gonna get bigger, but all their little things are like really cheap and easy. And you know, I've always had to like pull hard on a dog or whatever walking them, and she's just so easy. She only walks like a couple blocks, and then she sleeps for like 4 hours. She barks at everything. She chews everything. Poor Luna's like running constantly to the couch or to something high up so that she won't get her ankles nipped by this dog, but I figure she'll grow out of it in like a month or so, and we'll move on to the next thing. But yeah, she's a real little cutie. Like, look at this face. Look at this little guy. I mean, how can you? And she hasn't grown almost at all in 2 weeks. So we kind of think that this is basically her final size, which is, I don't know, pretty small. I'd say she's going to have 30% growth. She's only 8 weeks old, but like she doesn't grow at all. She's barely grown since I met her. But yeah, this is what Slayer looked like exactly. And she's a real lover. She just likes to be with us and to be sleeping with us. And you know, she's got that Chihuahua thing where she just wants to be with her alpha all the time. And she loves other dogs. She's very, very social. She's a very easy dog. She just like barks a little too much because she's a Chihuahua and they're scared of everything. And they also have little man syndrome. And she's got that in spades, right? And she chews stuff. But other than that, I mean, she'd eat any old thing. I could serve her a boot, she'd eat that. And she doesn't like water, but that's it. I think I can change her. She also takes a lot of secret shits. She poops a lot for a little dog. So I have to go in the garden and look around for poops every day because I don't want Luna to step in it. But that's it. That's it. I'm going to get offline at 47 minutes. I'm going to try and do this at 50. One last thing I wanted to let you guys know is that since I started doing these live videos, YouTube has cut my views. I haven't lost any subscribers at all. But I think, oh, Deborah's asking me here, do you like cats? Hell yeah, we got a black cat, Spooky Dookie, and she's the best. YouTube's cut. I think they're just not suggesting my videos anymore because, you know, I sort of get like on average 2,000 views for every video that we post. And since I started doing these lives, they've gone down to like 1,700, 1,500. And I just see that, you know, in my analytics, it's saying you're getting 3,000 less views a week and like they're going down. And the only thing that changed is I started doing these live videos and saying things like, don't use social media, you know, fight the power and question authority and stand up for women and, you know, down with bad dads and, you know, deadbeat dads and stuff. So I have a feeling that YouTube is like, who is this woman? No, we don't like her. Don't prefer her. So if you are so inclined and there's any videos that I have ever made that you like, please share them with somebody with your networks just to help me out because I don't think I'm doing anything bad. And we have made so many cute videos recently, especially the one in Cholula. I'm really proud of it. I'm making longer videos with more information and trying to respond to the things that people want to know. And it sucks that just because, you know, I'm not towing the line as well anymore, that like I get less visibility. So I don't make a ton of money off YouTube. In fact, it is a huge money loser. I mean, the amount of time and money I put into this per month grossly outweighs what I get back. I get back on average somewhere between 180. The most I ever made was $350 off YouTube in 1 month. So somewhere between $180 and $350. We don't really do brand deals because for the most part, they either don't ship to Mexico or it's like stuff we don't use and don't need, or it's bad for the environment, or, you know, it's like I don't want to hawk stuff that is not in line with what we believe in. And it's difficult. There's like not a lot out there for us. And then the companies that like I would love to rep Lush, for instance, who I talk about ad nauseum, but it's like, These companies like Lush, like they exist through attraction, not promotion. It's not a watch company. They don't need to promote, like, look at my lifestyle. Like, people come to Lush because they're already looking for, vegan, food grade, employees that are well paid, anti-sweatshop, anti-testing on animals. Like, people are already looking for it. Their audience is looking for them. They don't have to go to them. So it's harder. So I don't really make any money off YouTube. This is just a way for me to help build a community, and I learn just as much from you guys as you learn from me, for sure. So many of the tips we've gotten traveling and on parenting and on products and online news sources and all kinds of stuff and other YouTubers has come from you guys. Like, I feel like this is very much for me a give and take. So if you want to give us a little extra love while YouTube is giving me no extra love, that would be awesome. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a really good day, and yeah, see you next Monday.